Welcome to season 3 of Two Girls with Grief. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Kendall, and together we're just two girls figuring out how to live with grief the best we can.
This season, we wanted to have real conversations about building a beautiful life with grief. Because while grief never fully goes away, we believe it's still possible to build a life that holds love, joy, and even hope alongside it.
Our hope is that these episodes will be a resource for both new and seasoned grievers, whether you're in the early days of loss or years down the road.
And just a reminder, we're not professionals, we're just professional grievers. This is a safe place for honest stories, tools, and reflections that remind you you're not alone in this.
So, thank you for being here, for listening, and for letting us share this season with you. We're so grateful you're with us for season 3, Building a Beautiful Life with Grief.
Welcome back to another episode of Two Girls with Grief. This episode is focused on legacy and love because when someone we love dies, their story doesn't end. It continues in the ways we remember them, honor them, and carry their love forward.
Introducing our guest today, we have Jack, TV writer and content creator who went viral on TikTok for his beautiful memorial bench that he got in honor of his late fiance, also named Jack. And he has found meaningful ways to keep his memory alive through his daily content that he's been posting in the memorial bench overlooking the Hudson River, where he originally first proposed.
So, Kendall, let's check in before Jack jumps into the conversation. What's one way that you've kept your dad's memory alive?
One way is that I have a lot of my dad's old button downs and t shirts, and I wear those frequently in my rotation. It's something that I've shared with my brother and sister. I made that blanket. It was like a blanket compiled of all his old polo t shirts that I just didn't know what to do, but I couldn't throw them away. What about you, Rachel? What's a tradition or practice that's helping you feel close to your people?
For me, because I've lost both the parents of my sister, I think having too many things is also overwhelming. It's like almost like too focused on death, which I got
Mhm.
overwhelmed before. So now I like doing things in their honor or doing things that they liked, whether that's like making their favorite food, going to places that they liked, things like that, that just keep me close to them and make me feel like they're with me on this journey without focusing too much on making sure I do things a certain way. Because once you deal with so much loss, it can be really, really overwhelming to feel like you're doing it properly and you're not focused on your own life as much as you are focused on theirs.
Welcome, Jack. We are so happy to have you here to share your love story. And to begin all of this, can you start by telling us a little bit about your fiance, who he was, and how y'all met, and just really deliver the story to the listeners?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about Jack because I love talking about him. Um, First of all, both of our names are Jack, so
I
it
love
gets
that.
it gets a little confusing. But our friends called us Jack 1 and Jack 2. So to make things easier, I'll refer to him as 2 today. But so I met Jack 2 in January 2016. We were set up by mutual friends. A friend of mine from St. Louis, where I grew up, went to college with him at Lehigh. And we were all living in New York after college, and she set us up. She gave me his phone number, and we went on a kind of a blind date. I'd like stalked his Instagram, but didn't know much else going in. And all it took was one night. We grabbed drinks at a bar called Finnerty's in the East Village, and we ended up sitting there for like 3 or 4 hours, and just it was an instant connection. And I remember sitting there and thinking, oh, I hope this guy is into me because I'm, obsessed with him. And thankfully, at some point in the night, I realized, okay, the feeling's mutual. And he asked to walk me home after we left,
Oh,
and we kissed for the first time outside my apartment. And we were together ever since. Looking back, it's as if we knew our time would be short because we didn't waste a minute, and we never even went on a second date. We were texting like all day the next day, and the following day I was hanging out with some friends and my brother, and I invited him to come join, and he came and joined and spent the afternoon with all my people, and he fit in so perfectly, and we never looked back. So we had 7 beautiful years together, and then got engaged in September of 2022. And then unfortunately he passed suddenly 3 months later on Christmas Eve from a heart condition that he didn't know about. So I was really lucky to be loved by him. He had an infectious personality. He had the biggest smile. He gave the best hugs. He was just so much fun to be around, and he had so much energy. And I talk about signs a lot. I look for signs everywhere. And he is someone who he was such a big presence that I still feel him with me every day, and I look for him everywhere. I feel really lucky to have found him and to have been loved by him. And he changed me in so many ways. I'm a better person because of him. He gave me enough love to last a lifetime. That's something I've come to terms with recently. I hope to find love again. I miss sharing my life with someone, but I've know what it's like to be loved, and he gave me that gift, and that still fills my heart, and I feel as if I carry him with me every day, and I'm still so grateful that he liked me. I don't know what he saw in me, but I'm glad I fooled him somehow into loving me. Um, but he was great. He was just the best.
I'm like crying right now.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
It's one of those things where it's like some people never get to experience that level of love, whether that is romantic or platonic, right? Like it could be familial
Right.
love or romantic. And not everyone gets that, right? Not everyone gets loving parents, loving siblings, loving partners. And it's hard to constantly try to train your mind to be like, I'm so grateful that we had that time because it was short, but it's
Right.
like you have to keep reminding yourself like that is still, magical and precious. Very
Mm.
unfair, but it is hard to keep that mindset.
Oh, absolutely. And it's taken time to get to that place. But yeah, I feel like I just have to choose to be grateful every day, because if I don't focus on that and try to keep my mind in that space, it gets dark very quickly. Not every day, not every day is perfect, as
Yeah.
you know well. But yeah, I fully I live in that gratitude, and I do feel grateful for it. And to your point, so many people go through life and never get to experience love in any form, true love. So
Mhm.
I am grateful for it, and better to have loved and lost than never loved at all, as they say. And I fully believe that.
So you proposed to Jack at the Hudson River Park, and I had heard about
Yeah.
your bench. I think I had seen videos about it. I didn't realize that the memorial bench was also where you proposed. It was
Yes.
initially a proposal bench, and then it turned into a memorial bench, which is like
I,
I don't even know how to feel about that. It's like
I
this,
know
but
it's
because
terrible.
I knew the bench and I was like, oh, that's so sweet,
Mhm.
beautiful idea to have this bench in honor of your fiance that's overlooking, the water. It's a special place for you. And then I looked at the story more and I was like, that is where he proposed. That's
No,
another level of like life really comes at you sometime.
absolutely. And yeah, so Jack and I live in New York, and we live near Hudson River Park, and we would go on walks there every day. So one night when we were walking over there, I noticed a bench that had a plaque on it for a proposal. And I thought it was funny. I thought, like, oh my God, we had talked about getting engaged. He knew I was going to ask him. So I wanted to find some sort of element of surprise that he wouldn't expect. So I thought putting a plaque on the bench would be a surprise for him. I thought he'd get a kick out of it and find it kind of funny. And so I chose that bench because where it's placed, it overlooks Hoboken across the river, which is where Jack lived when we first met. And it was right in front of the LGBTQ plus memorial. And so something Jack and I spoke about a lot, and it's weird looking back on this, but we always spoke about how lucky we were to be alive in this moment. Even 10 years prior, it wasn't so easy to be openly gay. Gay marriage wasn't legal yet. And we thought a lot about, all the people who sacrificed so much, lost their lives to intolerance and hatred that paved the way for us to be living the life we were living. So I love that it was in front of this memorial. So, anyways, I proposed there, surprised him. It was this beautiful night. And I had planned to switch out the plaque for one that maybe had both of our names and our anniversary on it. And then he passed away. And at first I didn't know what to do at the bench. I thought about not putting on a permanent plaque. But over time, it was my friends who turned it into a memorial. I started receiving photos of friends dropping flowers at the bench or going there to sit and reflect and think about Jack after he'd passed. So I was inspired by all of them to return to the bench. And the first time I went back, I was nervous. At first I thought, how could I ever go back to that spot? Because I thought that bench would be a place we'd go for the rest of our lives together on our daily walks and, remember that night. But when I went back for the first time, I was just overcome with peace, and it's so calm. Jack loved the water. And so it turned into this beautiful space for me to go every day and sit with my grief. And so I decided to put a plaque on it to memorialize him. But my next obstacle was trying to figure out what to put on the bench. And, I started looking at different quotes about grief, and none of them felt right. And they didn't feel like Jack. And I wanted it to be something uplifting because that's who he was. And eventually I thought of the movie Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore, which Jack loved. And there's a scene at the end of the movie where she says, "Find out who you are and try not to be afraid of it." And Jack always spoke about how once he started living his authentic life and came out, everything else in his life fell into place. So I thought that's a message that he would want people to see when they see his name. And so I'm happy that that thought came to me. I'm happy I chose that quote, and I'm happy that it resonated with people. The bench has been the biggest blessing, and I am so grateful to have that place to go to every day.
I love that quote. I think that's so beautiful. I have chills right now thinking, like, hoping someone is gonna love me that much the way that you love him. I'm like kind of misty as you're telling this story because this is kind of like the fairy tale we all hope to have in our lives. So like having a physical space of remembering him and a place for your friends to go to. How do you think having a physical space like that has helped you in your grief? How has helped your friends, helped your family?
Absolutely. It's been crucial for me because I walk to that bench almost every morning and I have my coffee, and it gives me space and time to sit with my grief and reflect. And that's kind of become my routine. Some people turn to meditation or prayer. And I feel as if I do a combination of those things when I'm sitting at the bench. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast or listen to music. I have my grief playlist when I want to be in my feels. But having that space and carving out time in my day for it has been so necessary because, as you both know, if you bottle up the grief and push it down, it's going to come to the surface. And so I think making time each day for it helps. I still have moments where it's triggered and it comes up, but I feel like it happens less when I'm making time for it each day and giving myself permission to grieve. So having that space, making that time has been crucial for me, and I'm just very grateful to have that space.
Yeah, I think that's so important to have that acknowledgement for your grief when I think the narrative for so long was you don't talk about your grief in public, you don't talk about it with people you love, and I mean, Rachel and I have explored that topic
Yes.
really deeply.
Yeah.
How did that even happen, and how do we become a culture where we don't talk about our grief? But yeah,
Right.
incorporating it a part of your life, you feel almost at one, like you're not separating the grief part of you and the real you. It's like
Yes.
this is all one part of you.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's why I love what you're doing, because you two are doing a great job of breaking the silence around grief. And I agree. How did we as a culture get to this place? And how are none of us prepared to grieve? We're all going to lose someone we love in our life,
Yeah.
but none of us have the tools to navigate it. And granted, I guess even if there was a class in school, we still wouldn't be
Yeah.
ready, right? Like we are never
Yeah.
ready to say goodbye, whether a loss is expected or unexpected. Until you're in it, you're not ready. But I just wish it was something we talked about more. I wish people understood that it's okay to cry, it's okay to talk about them. And so that's why I think the work you're doing is just so important, and it's helping people, it's saving lives. So I'm proud of you two for starting this. It's great.
Thank you.
I feel like that love that you had with Jack is so special, but it's hard for me to care about new people in the same way, the deeply love way, when you've lost so many people that it's easy for me, even like with dating, if I'm dating someone, to be like, that didn't work out. Okay, bye. Like it's not that bad. Like it doesn't hurt
Right.
as bad, but I also don't think it's necessarily like as loving as deeply, right? Like if it was that type of
Mm,
love, it would hurt more. But it's
right.
that type of thing where you're like, "Oh, it's not gonna work out. Okay." Not that it doesn't hurt at all, but it's like,
Hmm.
I've dealt with way worse, so I'm gonna forget about you, and it's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've survived worse and you know
Yeah.
that, and it gives that perspective.
But it's such a beautiful experience, that type of love. And it's like hearing your story, even though it was cut short, I'm like, maybe that is a special thing to be open to. Even if you only got 7 years, it's like the way that you talk about him and the way that I see you talk about him on TikTok and social media. It's like you loved him so much and it was such a beautiful love. And like I think that's really special. Like maybe there is reasons to be open to love and not be cold hearted anymore. Not
Absolutely. And it's easy to close our hearts off when you have
yeah.
lost people and you've been through that pain. I think it's human nature to close your heart to protect yourself. And that's something I've been trying to do, is keep my heart open and to seek out love again, and with friends, with my families, keep my heart open to love even though I know the cost. And I think that's something that we're all fighting for every day, because it's much easier to stay closed off when you know how painful it can be to lose it. So uh, it's
Yeah.
a lot.
I feel like I saw this on your social media somewhere, and I don't know if I collected it correctly from wherever I did,
Yeah.
but I saw that Jack said that once he began living authentically, everything in his life fell into place. How has that lesson shaped the way that you live now? Because I feel like that's such a powerful message that I feel like honestly everyone, especially in the country right now, if they just lived authentically as how they were, like people would just be happier.
Totally.
They wouldn't be hating on people if you just live who you are and love who you
Mhm.
are. Like you're not worried about what other people are doing. You're not.
Right.
What legacy has that left with you?
I think it's been his biggest legacy in my life, because even when he was alive, he really did live his life that way. Like, he was the kind of person, he never let himself get into a situation he didn't want to be in. He didn't do things he didn't want to do. Like, one story I always tell is, we had gone out to dinner with a few friends and they wanted to go to this new ice cream place after. And we got there and the line was like wrapped around the block. And he was like, guys, I'm sorry, you guys can wait in this line, but I don't wait in lines except for raves and roller coasters. And he literally left and went home while the rest of us waited in line for ice cream. But that's literally how he lived. Like, he was true to himself in every moment, and he prioritized his time. And like, I thought it was rude in the moment. I'm like, you're really gonna leave me here? But it's like, he treated time how we all should, and did what he wanted to do, and was his authentic self. He didn't put on a mask or adapt himself to be who other people wanted him to be. And I think that while we were together, I was the one who always would sweat the small stuff, and I was so worried about what other people thought. And it even manifested in ways like, I wasn't comfortable sometimes walking down the street and holding his hand. Like, I'm not good with PDA, and I didn't want to make other people uncomfortable by us showing our love in public sometimes, like stupid shit like that, and that he'd get bothered by and be like, why do you care? And so I spent so much time worried about what other people think, I think, my entire life. And the biggest thing I've been working on since he passed is to live how he did, and to be true to myself. And part of that has been putting myself out there and posting these videos. Like, it took me 2 years after he passed to finally have the courage and just start speaking openly and authentically and saying what's on my mind. And all of that is, a tribute to him. And I wouldn't be doing it if he weren't the person he was. So I feel like that has impacted my life completely. And I hope that that's a message that gets out to people, because as we all know, life is too short to live for anyone else. You've got to
Mhm.
make yourself happy and do what's going to make you happy. And no one's thinking about us as much as we think they are. Whenever I find
No.
myself spiraling, I'm like, okay, take a beat, Jack. Like, no one else cares, and just do you. So I'm trying every day, but I think that's a lifelong lesson and journey into like self-acceptance and all of that. Yeah.
I love that he's still inspiring you. Like the way that he lived is inspiring you. And I think that is something that I try to incorporate into my life too, is like they can still inspire you and be with you in different ways. You can carry them. You can remember things that they taught you and still change and grow. And it's kind of like they're here with you. But I think that's a beautiful thing to mention, is like it took you a while, but you're still living in his honor and he's still inspiring you in ways. I'm sure he's looking back and being like, I'm so happy that you can be yourself, because I think it just, you feel happier, right? Like me and
Right.
in a different way. And I sort of in the same way, but me and Kendall, we didn't used to talk about our grief. And because of that, you kind of hold like the shame and this like part of you that is like hidden, because you're not just like, you know what, today sucks. Today was hard because I really miss them. Or people are talking about something and you're like, well, it's a little sad because my parents aren't here or whatever. When you keep that in, you keep those thoughts in yourself, it's like you're kind of living in a separate world from everybody because you're having all these grief thoughts. And I think also people assume, because most people don't just say it out loud, that you are fine, that you aren't thinking about it, that you're not bothered by these things. So by being comfortable to share it, it's like you feel more like yourself because you're not
Yeah.
hiding that part of you that's grieving and sad. And just like you know, you're speaking about it now. You do daily grief thoughts and you share about Jack, which, you know, I'm sure he's proud of you being like your authentic self and sharing your love story, which is a very beautiful love story. So I'm glad that
Thank
you
you.
are sharing it because it is very sweet. Like, yeah, this isn't part of the question, but I think something that talking about this makes me think of is like, you know, your love was a 7-year love, but it was like amazing and a beautiful love story. And I think when you think of relationships now, the dating culture is horrible.
Hmm.
and
Yes.
and I think also it's like people think long term all the time, like, well, let's plan on our lives. And the truth is we don't always get that, right?
Right.
You lose your partner, you lose whoever you lose, you don't always get that time. And I think it also makes you think like if you love somebody or there's a connection, just sometimes it's important to just go for it, I think, at the same time and not
Hmm.
necessarily think about the long term. And I mean, I think you should, but I think there's also beauty in thinking like we love each other now
In
or we
this
could love each
moment,
other.
like right
Yeah.
now, it's
Hmm.
perfect.
And just experiencing that
Yes.
together because I think that's also really hard. Connection with people, especially when you've been through grief, is really hard.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and hearing your story, I'm like, maybe there is something special about just going for something, whether you know it's going to work out or not, because there's a connection. Because
Hmm.
I'm definitely more like hesitant about any of those things.
Right.
So, for all the people that are also jaded with love, let's look at Jack and Jack and,
Well,
and be inspired. You never know. Like, love,
you never
whether it's
know.
long or short, it can still be a beautiful legacy in your lifetime.
Absolutely. Beautifully said.
Yeah, this segues so well into talking about legacy and then what this whole experience has meant to you. And what do you think Jack too would think about being remembered this way through the stories that you're telling online, the bench, your friends and their contributions into it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I started posting on TikTok, I never expected it to have the reach it would have. I never expected it to resonate with so many people. I never expected to still be doing it today. I,
Mhm.
I, I started it in January just as like a way to get my thoughts out. And it's been so moving and life changing. And it's helped me with my grief so much. But back to Jack. He was big on Twitter. He loved to tweet and he would post stupid tweets like all day long. And it was like his dream to go viral. Like he used to always say, like, I want one viral tweet. So when I posted the story about the bench and it went viral, I feel like I was giving him that gift he always wanted, like, so I know that he would have
Love
loved
that.
this. And even like talking with his family and our friends after, it was as if he was alive again in a way because so many people were getting to know him for the first time and were asking about him in the comments and talking about him. And it was just so moving and beautiful. And the other thing is, like, when you lose someone you love, you want the whole world to stop and grieve with you. And in that moment in February, when that video was going off, it really felt like for the first time, everyone in the world is stopping and grieving with me. So it was crazy and beautiful and overwhelming. And I'm just still blown away and can't believe that that moment happened. And yeah, and it's changed me. I mean, now every day I get to go on TikTok and speak with people like the two of you that are going through it. It's I think I had no idea that TikTok could be such a loving, uplifting, incredible place. We think of the internet as this awful place full of trolls, and then there's this beautiful community of people lifting each other up and making us each feel less alone. So it's been such an incredible journey, and I'm really grateful for it. And then I've also had to learn how to let go because I'll post a video about him that I think is so moving and important and I'm sharing something beautiful, and then it gets a couple hundred views. and
Yeah.
and learning not to take that like to heart and not get offended by it, because with what we're talking about, it can be so discouraging when your videos aren't
Yeah.
doing well, and you can get burnt out really fast, and it's hard to detach yourself from it. That's something I'm trying to learn, and it's easier said than done. You just kind of have to put it out there, and if people watch it, they watch it. If they don't, they don't. But learning how to not take it personally and to not let it stop you from continuing to post, like, that has been a journey that I've been navigating. TikTok's wild.
It is wild. I'm the one on TikTok. Kendall handles our Instagram, so it's like two different beasts. So Kendall's
Oh,
not as in the know of the TikTok craziness, but you just have to share your story because what you do might help one person. But that's
right.
important because that's one person that feels a little less lonely or a little less lost in their grief journey. And that's really all you can hope for because grief is freaking hard. We all know that.
Yeah.
And when you don't feel like there's any way to make it feel better at all and you see someone that you can relate to, I think that's so important. So, like, the more that people talk about it, and everyone that I've met through the grief space and like Kendall's met, like, it's been so nice and like so kind. And I feel like there is like
Mhm.
an open heartedness about people even though I
Right.
said I was closed off. But there is an open heartedness, I think, with other grievers.
Yes, yes, no,
Closed off to
totally.
regular people, just people that know grief. You just
Right.
know that pain. And I think there is like a beauty in those connections and just how much more your world feels complete with the people that you meet and in the grief space because you get it. Like that's how like me and Kendall became good friends so quickly is like
Mm.
you get that and you can share things that you don't really talk about to regular people.
Right. It's like a, yeah, mutual understanding that other people just don't get. So I totally agree.
So, for our listeners, and I feel like everyone will answer this differently, but do you have any advice about creating their own rituals or traditions to honor someone that they love? Because I think that's what people have a hard time with is like, how do you keep their memory alive? Especially when like you feel like you said, you had that moment where you felt like everyone was honoring Jack. I feel like we do all want
Mhm.
that because it's like your whole world explodes
Right.
and you're like, how are you not as sad as I am?
Yeah,
How are you not as
totally.
heartbroken about this? Do you have any advice for people that are having a hard time figuring out that for themselves?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you asked this. Okay, so what I like to say is there's that quote, grief is love with nowhere to go. So I like to say we need to find a place for it to go. You need to give your grief a home. You need to channel your grief somehow. So for me, that's been making these videos and writing. I'm a writer. I journal about it. But for other people, I've talked to people who they took up quilting because the person they lost loved that. You know, they took up hobbies that their loved one loved. Jack's mom started making bracelets as a way to channel her grief, you know, and that's become her ritual every day. So I think finding an outlet to channel your grief is as what's helped me the most. I know that looks different for everyone. It can be anything. For you too, I mean, I think this podcast has been a beautiful way to channel your grief. The posting on Instagram and TikTok, just giving yourself an outlet or some sort of creative ritual is super helpful. And like, I wish I knew how to quilt or make bracelets because I think there's something about those, like a task like that, that is so calming and kind of centers your mind and just gives you time to reflect. So I think that's a beautiful way to do it. But yeah, but it also could be something like, you know, Jack loved going to concerts. So I love to go to as many concerts as I can go to now. Doing things that they loved, I think, is a way to still feel connected with them. And that's one that like it took me a while to get to that point. Like at first, I was like, how will I ever go to a concert again? Like I felt guilty doing the things he
Yeah.
loved. And then over time, you do it and it gets a little easier each time. And yeah, I still might cry at every concert I go to, but that feels good. So I think finding a way to channel your grief, whatever that looks like for you, I just think that that's a really helpful thing to do.
Yeah, I feel like people don't get that. You may cry, but you're still
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you're not happy.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked recently about like booking a trip somewhere that Jack and I had gone and had so many great memories. And someone commented saying, you know, oh, my friends invited me on this trip, but I don't want to go because I think I'll be too sad. And I'm like, okay, you will be sad, but you should go. I guess you can't speak for everyone, but like what I have found is all the things I thought were going to be too hard to do, if I force myself to do them, I might be 50% sad, but I'm also have 50% happiness on those trips. And the more you force yourself into those things, they get easier. The crying feels good. It's okay if you
No,
if something makes you sad.
I agree with that. I think there's a balance you have to find of knowing what's right for you now in this grief space, but also
Yeah.
not talking yourself out of experiencing life again. And I think that's
Yes.
what I had, and I still work on it now. It's like sometimes I'm like, I won't like this because of XYZ and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to do it. And then I go and I'm like, I actually had fun. And I wish I hadn't spent so much time telling myself it wasn't going to be because of all these different
Mhm.
things. And it keeps you from living your life. And I think people's boundaries have almost gotten too strong that you're not connecting with people. And so I think figuring out like those boundaries is important, but sometimes you can talk yourself out of it and you're not experiencing life because you think you won't ever be happy with it. And there are certain things like for me like big holiday parties, I don't like them. Like when it's my family
Mhm.
parties, I don't like them. And that's because I just think of all the family that's not there. And I don't know if that's going
Right.
to change, but it's something that I came to terms with. I actually just really don't like doing that.
Yeah, and
And
that's okay.
yeah, and like I like watching Hallmark movies with my dog right now. And maybe next year that'll be different. But that's one where like I tested it out. And it's like, no, I
Mhm.
actually am happier at home, not doing that. But there's a lot of other things where I'm like, I told myself no, but I went and I'm like, it actually was really fun. So I think it's finding the balance. Kendall, do you experience that too?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is very Jack 2 energy. Like if you aren't into it, then just go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally. I love that. And yeah, testing it out, like you said, like you tried doing it and it didn't work for you and you learned that, but I love that you went for it and you figured it out for yourself. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say is I don't want people to close themselves off or hold back from these from opportunities that might end up feeling good. And yeah, they might not, but that's okay too.
I mean, you're gonna be sad anyways, whether you go to
Yeah.
Yeah.
that thing or
Yeah.
not. Like
Yeah.
the sadness doesn't
Totally.
go
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Perfectly said.
So we like to challenge our listeners with a different thing each episode. And so this episode, what would you recommend as a small thing to encourage people to do this week in honoring the person they love?
Absolutely. You know what? I'm actually going to riff off of what we just spoke about, and I'm going to challenge everyone who's listening, who's grieving, to do something that they've been putting off. So whether that is a trip somewhere that holds hard memories, seeing someone that it's been too hard to spend time with, going to a restaurant. I want to challenge people to do something that they think is going to be hard, that they think they can't handle. Do it, and maybe it will be, but as you said, better to be sad in a good restaurant with a nice meal than sad at home. So I challenge everyone to do something hard or that they aren't sure if they're capable of. And I hope that by doing it and forcing themselves to do it, whether it goes well or not, it'll make them stronger and they'll show themselves that they have more courage than they maybe thought. So challenge to do the hard things. That's my challenge.
I love that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's beautiful. I do think it's one of those things you need to allow that joy to creep in.
Yeah.
Whether that's a laugh or you're just like, I really enjoy this pasta or wine. You're not gonna find that joy just in your home crying to
Hmm.
yourself. You need to challenge
Hmm.
yourself to live. And so I love that because it's like that sadness is still gonna be there, like you guys are saying, but the joy needs to be
Yeah.
found somewhere because this is
Right.
our life. So like we have to try to find it. It's not perfect, but
Right.
we have to keep trying. We're here, and I like to think we're here for a reason. So there has to be something good that we're meant to
Hmm.
do, and you miss out by not trying it. So everyone,
Absolutely.
follow Jack's challenge, and please let us know what you did because we would love to hear what you did and how it helped. Because I do think you have to challenge yourself on this grief journey. Because man, it's so easy to just be sad and give up because it's freaking hard. So
Yeah.
no like shame to letting it get you down. But I always like to say, like, if you need a day in bed, take it, but don't
Mm-hmm.
stay in bed. Like you get the one day and then you try again the next day. You have to know that balance of like, we can't stay there in that sad place, but we do get to feel that sadness when we need to. So we always like to include joy spotting in our episodes and pointing out those moments of joy. So what is one thing that has sparked joy with you this week?
I love this question because I'm always trying to cling on to joy. And this is something so small, but like, I think it just shows how it can be something small. And I have a coffee shop that I love that is like right on my block that I go to almost every morning. And I love it there, but they had a horrible seating situation. They had these tiny tables with stools. And it's the one thing that's always bothered me about it because there's only like 2 seats in there that are comfortable. And yesterday I went in there and they got new tables and they redid the layout and it is so much better. And I can't tell you how much that's going to impact my life because like I like to go there to write and do work and I'm just thrilled. So that was one moment of joy that I was like, God bless. Like my prayers have been answered. So that was something small, but also I connected with a friend on Wednesday night, one of Jack 2's best lifelong friends. Her name's Alyssa, and she is one of the greatest gifts that Jack gave me because I consider her my best friend now. And I love her. And the fact that we can talk about Jack and laugh and cry and just meet each other with our grief. Like she has been so instrumental in my healing. And I hadn't seen her in like a month. And we got together on Wednesday night and just had the best time and laughed and cried and all of it. And so that was, I think, the highlight of my week. And she brings me joy. Being with his people brings me so much joy.
Oh, that's so sweet. I can see Kendall's
Thanks.
eyes right now.
I love it.
I know. I was like,
I
oh
think-
my God, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I think I'll share my joy thing and Kendall share hers. I think if you close yourself off, you don't welcome the people that can come into your life because of your new experiences. Even like Kendall, I wouldn't have been friends with her had I not joined a grief support group. We wouldn't have met. Also, I feel like Kendall still has a parts of me that I like have given up in many ways. Like she's the type of person that will pick you up from the airport and send you care baskets and like really thoughtful gifts. And especially with my sister, like she reminds me so many of those qualities.
Oh.
And so I think it's like, had I not opened myself up to more healing and more like connection, I wouldn't have met Kendall. So I think it's beautiful. You mentioned like, you never know who's going to come into your life after it, and you can welcome those people in, because a lot of times when you lose people, your people in your life don't get it, or they think that you've changed, or they don't understand why you're different. And so sometimes you need to find that new set of people that get it. And it doesn't mean like you're stopping friends with people, but it allows you to also have the new people that you appreciate. Kendall, do you know yours? Let me think about this. I'm like, this week went by really quick.
It's it's a continuations of all my other joys of my brother getting a car. So my brother was in a car accident like a month ago. It's been a learning journey for us both because we had never bought a car before. When we bought cars in the past, our dad was with us to handle car dealership things, and that's something we let the dad do. And now we don't have a
Right.
dad, so we're having to learn this for the first time. And it was kind of like, yeah, it could be annoying to drive him around everywhere to his appointments, to all the things he had to be at. But we really had such a good time together. And I was learning so much about him because we just now had time to talk. And we finally got him a car, and I'm so proud to like see him handle it. He had done all this research. I like saw him like literally in front of my eyes go from being like this 6-year-old little brother I had to this like 24-year-old man who was like on top of it, asking good questions, had all his paperwork. And I was trying to be not a bossy, bitchy sister. I was like, you're in control, you're in charge, and I'll support you where I need to support you, but you're grown up now. And I was just so proud of him for stepping up to the plate. And so this is not the joy, but my sister was in a car accident literally like the day after he got his car.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
No.
So I was like,
Wow.
why do y'all do this to me? Like,
Yeah.
do y'all enjoy putting me in levels of stress? I don't know.
Next lesson, next set of
Right.
I was like, I don't know what's going on with y'all, but we need to get this figured out. Like somebody hit her, and so her
Okay.
car was totaled. She's fine,
Oh,
but she's
two?
like,
Oh my
Good.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jeez.
But I was like, fortunately, we just went through this learning lesson not a day before. So your little brother is going to help you find your
oh my
car.
gosh.
Your little brother is going to drive you around places that, paying it
Mhm.
forward, and I was like,
Yeah,
this is what we
Right.
do. This is what family does. And this is the
Mhm.
sacrifices we make for each other. But I was literally like, all right, well,
that's
the
so
good
funny.
thing and this whole thing is that your brother now knows how to do it. So he is going to be dealing with the car situations.
Amazing.
That is so funny. So my joy, I'll share. I was thinking about it. So one is I'm going on that Coco Kind brand trip in New York City, and so we got more information. We're staying at the Edition Hotel, which is like really nice
Oh, yeah,
in New
yeah.
York City. So I'm like super excited.
I love that.
And for the listeners, we will love to hear what you're doing and finding joy in your life. So send them to us some form, some fashion, whether it's email
Social
or
media,
DMs,
or DM,
and
yeah.
we'll talk about them.
Yeah, we love to share them on our episodes. So, Jack, thank you so much for coming on our podcast and sharing Jack too. I've been following you for a while, been listening to the stories, but it's so much nicer to like have the actual conversation and hear about it. And like you said, we don't often have the platforms to just truly talk about our people and how much we love them and what an impact they made. And I could just see like the love that you have for Jack and just like how beautiful it was. And so I hope that people are listening inspires you to, truly find love, not participate in this current dating culture, but like actually fall in love because it's beautiful. Whether, you get 7 years, 7 months, I think having that type of love is a beautiful thing. So go for it, everybody. Love, truly, because that's what's important in life. So don't miss out on it.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about Jack. I loved this and I loved getting to actually speak with you after all these months of
Yeah.
following your journey. So this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack, so much. So we like to end each episode with just like lessons we've learned from the guests that came on or just things that stuck with us. And it's for me, I would say it definitely is the love aspect and dating. Like I mentioned, sometimes it can be closed off or just like it's easy to just like, okay, whatever, I've been through enough. Like, who cares? But I think there is beauty in like, even if it's 7 years or even if whatever time you get with somebody, I think it's important to open yourself up to it. Like if you feel something special, I think it's important to try it out, even if it doesn't work out. And I think as humans, we don't like to get hurt. I think as people, dating culture is like you don't want to care too much about anybody right now. And I think if you listen to this episode and you listen to how Jack speaks about Jack too, it's so beautiful. And like, how can that
Yeah.
not inspire you to like want to be in love and want to love somebody wholeheartedly? So for me, I think it's maybe opened my mind to dating again, where I haven't really had too much interest in that. But what about you?
Yeah, I echo everything you said. And I love Jack's heart in all of this and seeing
Mhm.
that even in pain and suffering, and especially with death and grief, that you can still move forward with love and light and openness. It reminds me of this like Buddhist kind of like thought that any type of love you have in your life will always end in some type of suffering. You could have the most perfect marriage for 80 years and someone's going to have to die first and someone's going to have to grieve and feel that pain.
Yeah.
And is it not still worth it? Like, is it not still worth
Yeah.
it to be open to that? You think of all the people you love so dearly in your life and you're like, do you love them enough to go through that suffering? And I think that with my brother and sister, and I'm like, absolutely. I would do it again and again and again. I think about my dad,
Yeah.
I'm like, the grief is so
Yeah.
horrible and it's so consuming and it's so heartbreaking. And I would do it over and over again if it means having my dad in my life one more time. That's an
Yeah.
easy exchange. That's not even a conversation. I would do that because the love
Yeah.
is so big.
Yeah. And I think that's like such a important piece to point out. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Whatever love you get to feel on this earth with other human beings is worth it,
Yeah.
no matter the time that we get. And we have to stop overthinking things sometimes because when you love people and care about them, like all you get is time. The time is so precious. The moments are precious. The new memories are precious. So that's what we should be focused on. And
Mhm.
yeah, it is worth it. When you think about it, it's like I would never consider not loving my sister or my parents as much, you
Exactly,
know?
yeah.
And I think we have to think about that in terms of new people, where I know I'm not the only one that gets closed off about meeting new people and letting people in. And you miss out. We wouldn't have this podcast, like there's
Yeah.
just, and we want to just had this great conversation with Jack. It's like you miss out on all the things that you close yourself off to from all of that conversation with Jack. Like just love people, just let it happen, just see what happens. Because yeah, our time is short. And if there's somebody special, whether platonic, romantic, whatever, just like spend time with them, love them. And if you get good memories and experiences out of it, like that's a win, no matter how long it is.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
So we would love to hear whatever lessons you may have learned from this conversation, anything that you took away. So comment on this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, send us a DM, send us an email. We love to hear from you. Thank you for joining another episode.
And as a reminder, we're not professionals. We're just professional grievers, experts on our own grief and our own journeys, learning alongside with you, hearing from these stories. So we'll see y'all again in the next episode.
See you next week. Bye.